Yeah, so besides all their data being wrong, I think the real reason is something they didn't want to say publicly because they knew it would get them in trouble.
We were not what they wanted us to be in terms of Kappa's national image.
We knew if a woman was joining Kappa that they were likely to have a good experience.
Oh my gosh, it was great. My first thought, seeing all the people in my class, was these are cool people. And so I was just really happy, and a lot happier than I expected to be. And once I felt that, I just couldn't stop smiling all day. It was just such a great day. I felt more loved than ever, really. And I had just met these people like 2 weeks ago.
Sororities, something that I was worried about with joining the sorority and why I didn't rush was I didn't want to be boxed into a particular feminine image. But I think that Kappa was very kind of unexpected in that way, where we weren't, what we focused on wasn't necessarily our looks, but our deeds and our integrity.
To me, Kappa was just really good at creating a space where the organization could be whatever its members needed it to be for them. Kappa took some of the pressure of a sorority away and just let it be a group where, again, it was whatever its members needed it to be at that time. It was a decision that came from the national organization. It was not a Furman decision.
The day that they shut us down, the lady who came from nationals came into our chapter, our council that we had right before chapter, of all the people on chapter council, was talking to us, chatting us up, being so friendly. And then as soon as the last person arrived, she just had this full 180 and shut the door. Okay, the reason I'm here is, and just really like raised her voice, got really rude with us. All of a sudden, we were like, what happened? And then, of course, we all started crying because nobody knew what was going to happen. And then she got mad at us for crying, telling us that we had to pull ourselves together before she went and told the chapter, because if we walked in there with tears streaming down our face, everyone was going to know what was going on.
Of course, everyone was very upset. And she talked down to us. And then they shared a presentation about why they were shutting us down, and it was, from my perspective, it was totally bullshit.
She was showing these graphs that were pie charts, bar graphs of member retainment over time, which, first of all, I should mention, in the entire time I was in Kappa, and for several years before, because I was in charge of the Alumni Association, that was my job in Kappa, we didn't have anyone drop. For at least since 2018, probably before, but that was as far back as I had the data that no one had dropped. So first of all, I saw that and I said, that is not right. And I asked them, they hooked up those graphs. I said, did y'all do any sort of statistical tests on these? Like, what's your p-value? What's anything like that? Because you can't just put up data and say that the data are accurate without doing any sort of tests on them. That's like a #1 rule of research. And then I said, will you send us this PowerPoint? And they said, no, you're not allowed to see it outside this room. I said, will you at least go back to that slide? They said, nope. So obviously, I had caught them in a lie, and they didn't want anyone to take a picture or have their made-up graphs.
She was very patronizing, and then explained that whatever problems that nationals had been having with us had apparently been going on for a long time.
Our recruitment leader had been kind of having this back and forth with them for a while because we didn't fit their image. I'm not sure if those were the exact words used or just heavily implied, but they told us that with recruitment we allowed members to wear nicer business casual outfits that weren't dresses, and they wanted everyone to wear a dress, and we said we have some people who are a lot more comfortable in maybe a pantsuit. It's still business casual, it still fits the dress code. They were pretty upset about that, and we had to really really kind of argue with them in order to be allowed to wear pants to recruitment. I definitely think the fact that we were so open about our queer members and supporting that group, I think that had a big thing to do with it, but they couldn't say that safely when they were shutting us down.
I said we have a lot of members that are in the LGBT community and are non-binary or like gay. Was this a contributing factor to your decision? And it was barely a second. They were like, no, of course not, which is super scummy. Our lack of adherence to national identity fed into our lack of popularity on campus because, again, target for bullying. It's always the gay kids, which fed into our numbers, and it was just this horrible, endless feedback loop.
They took our letters off of Greek Hall the day after they shut us down, which really felt like a punch in the gut, because they also still had some other fraternities that may not still be there, have their letters still there. But it really felt like, oh, okay, you guys are gone, you're never coming back. That was kind of the impression it gave me. And so it really seemed like we were trying to be erased. That's what it felt like to me.
As someone who saw it over the years and saw the benefit of membership for some of our students, there are definitely times that I thought, oh man, that student would have really benefited from this experience, and we don't have that.
Even if they had done tests, even if their numbers were accurate, even if they were statistically significant, none of us cared. We didn't join Kappa because we wanted to be in a big, growing sorority. We joined Kappa because we had friends in it, or we had a great conversation in recruitment and we wanted to be around those people more. I genuinely knew and had a very fulfilling conversation with every single person in the sorority.
I think what Kappa did really well, like I said, was just to give students that sense of belonging. And so I think it really served the purpose of a sorority or a fraternal organization that maybe we don't always see in our other organizations.
Why discourage a certain group of people from being part of your sorority if they agree with the values, agree with, love the ritual of it, love the community that it creates for them? Why deny that? Why prevent women from having the Greek experience that they want instead of forcing them into the Greek experience that you want them to have?